Tickling can make you laugh without being amused. That laugh is not really comedy. It is a nervous reflex with a ridiculous reputation. Your skin notices touch all the time, but most touch gets filtered as ordinary. Tickling feels different because it arrives as a surprise. It is fast and hard to predict. Your brain is always predicting what touch should feel like next, like a very fussy weather app. When the touch matches the prediction, the brain treats it as self-caused and stays calm. That is why self-tickling usually fails. There is no genuine surprise for the brain to pounce on. Scientists think the motor system sends a copy of your movement plan to sensory areas, saying, roughly, relax. That copy helps the brain subtract expected sensations before they register as weird or alarming. A different person is harder to predict, so the sensation lands as messy, fast, and unclassified. That tiny gap between expectation and touch is where the tickle effect sneaks in. The brain then scrambles through old reflex circuits, and laughter is one possible output. It is part delight, part alarm, which explains why tickling can feel funny and annoying at once. Some people laugh easily, some barely react, and some genuinely hate it. The sensation is shaped by context, too. Trust, playfulness, and anticipation all matter. You feel trapped? Tickling stops being funny fast and starts feeling like a tiny ambush. That is because ticklishness is partly about the brain deciding whether to classify touch as safe. The bigger the prediction error, the more your brain pays attention to the sensation. That is why areas like ribs and feet are classic tickle zones. They are sensitive and hard to ignore. The exact tickle response changes across people, age, mood, and even who is doing the touching. If you repeat the same motion, the brain learns the pattern and the thrill evaporates. That is also why familiar touches from yourself or trusted routines feel less ticklish over time. The system is not broken, it is doing exactly what it was built to do. Tickling is basically a false alarm. Your brain hears an incoming touch and reacts before logic fully settles in. Laughing may be the body's awkward way of shaking off the spike of surprise. Once the feeling becomes overwhelming, the laugh can vanish and the person just wants it to stop, because your brain is not just feeling the touch. It is grading the source, the timing, and the surprise. Your own movement is the easiest thing for your brain to predict, which kills most of the drama. So the nervous system quietly downgrades the sensation from shocking to ordinary before it turns into a giggle. Another person's hand slips past that filter because their behavior is less predictable and more socially loaded. That social layer is part of why tickling often works best with trust, teasing, and clear boundaries. Some researchers think tickling may be tied to play, bonding, and learning about vulnerable body areas. In other words, tickling may be a strange little alert system wrapped inside social play. That is why the same touch can feel hilarious, annoying, or intolerable depending on context. The punchline is that your brain hates cheap tricks when it can see them coming. Give it an unexpected hand, and suddenly the same skin becomes a comedy club with bad acoustics. Tickling works because your brain is built to predict touch, not merely receive it. Other people are harder to predict, so the body reacts before the mind can roll its eyes. That mismatch is tiny, but the nervous system treats it like news worth laughing about. Weirdest part is not that tickling makes us laugh. It is that prediction is what decides whether we do.